Well, hello friends, welcome back to another video. Thanks for joining me today, where I'm going to talk about the things that motivate us to go out and take photos. Are we motivated by a need to be creative? Are we driven by originality and uniqueness and the search for those photos that feel unique to us? And in terms of uniqueness and originality, is that even possible these days, or is it even important? Or are we motivated by the experience of just being out with the camera? It's going to be an interesting topic, lots of things to unpack. So in a moment, we are going to pick up the film that I started to shoot last week in Originality National Park, a nice little vlog where I was searching for some late autumn photos, or so I thought going into it. So come and join me out in the field as I adapt my plans and dig into my photography toolkit to try and find a fresh perspective for the day's photography. Morning. Yeah, how's it going? Absolutely not, you can carry on. Well, good morning everybody from Originality National Park. My first time here for a few months, and what an interesting morning of photography it has been so far. An unexpected morning of photography, you could say. It's been wonderful. It's a beautiful day today. There's blue sky. The sun this morning has been casting such amazing golden light onto the landscape, and it's been really nice just enjoying that and just trying to capture some moments of light. I photographed the boathouse a little bit further down the path, which was a nice way to just get warmed up a little bit. But I'm definitely going to have to change tact today when it comes to my photography goals and what I'm hoping to photograph. I was hopeful that I would get a little bit of late autumn colour, and I'm not chasing late autumn colour, but it was something that I was hoping would be a theme amongst the photos that I take today. But there isn't really any colour left. I had to de-ice my car this morning, which is normally a marker of winter for me. When the ice comes, that's kind of the sign that winter is now here. And it kind of feels like that today. Like I said, there's no colour left. It's cold, but it's lovely. It's so great to be out. And as I mentioned in my most recent podcast episode, the Thoughtfully Framed podcast, link for which is down in the description, my most recent episode was all talking about mindset when it comes to photography and how important it is and how it can influence our photography for better or for worse. And it's all about going out with your camera with a positive mindset, with optimism and with an open mind as well. And I'm really going to have to exercise that in today's video, because photographing late autumn colour is not going to be a thing today. So I'm going to kick things off with this shot that I'm stood in front of now, which is this really characterful oak tree. It's really mossy, it's really vibrant and green, but the very edges of the branches are this beautiful silvery colour, and it's surrounded by so many kind of like spindly silvery trees. I think they might be birch trees. I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that. And it's kind of framing the top of this green tree. It kind of makes it look like it's got grey hair, which I thought was quite interesting from like a visual point of view, because this is obviously such an old tree, and grey hair is a sign of age, isn't it? So just an interesting thought, and I thought I'll take a photo of it. So I've framed it up as a square crop, and I've got the image kind of split into two halves. I've got like the green moss and the boulders along the sort of bottom half of the image, and then this really fine silvery texture that's in the sort of top half. And I really like it. Nice way to start. So since we are changing tact, I've had an idea that I thought could make for an interesting video today. And it's all about how to find unique and original photos when out with your camera. And we're going to discuss whether that is really possible. So, onwards. Now, originality is an interesting thing in photography because, especially if you go down an academic route, if you've ever gone to art college, or if you're trying to be a professional photographer, then you're always encouraged to be original, to have your own voice, as they say. And it's definitely something that a lot of photographers aspire to, myself included. It's nice to sort of find the thing that really, really interests you and kind of documenting the world as you see it. But with so many people taking photos these days, I don't know if originality is truly achievable, at least if we're thinking about subject matter. I mean, take where I was first thing this morning photographing that little boathouse on the lake. Not an original photo by any means. And it's just got me thinking whether that is important. I think one thing that's maybe important to consider is whether we consider our photos to be original to ourselves or original to other people. Do we want people to look at our photos and be like, wow, I've never seen that composition or that location or an image like that before? Or are we just trying to satisfy our own progression as photographers and chase scenes, subjects and photos that are original and unique to us, things that we've just never seen before, and things that spark that curiosity that I think we're all so driven by in our photography? I think that second one is probably the one to chase. That idea of chasing photos, chasing compositions, scenes and locations that are unique and original to us. I feel like that's where the real joy in photography lives. But what does that look like? Well, I'm stood in front of an exact subject that I think epitomizes this perfectly. So I've been to this location before. I've photographed that boathouse before. I've walked along this path before. But I have never ever seen this amazing lone tree before. There's a few lone trees in Originality National Park. A lot of them very well documented, heavily photographed, and for good reason. They're great subjects. But I'll tell you what, I've never seen this one. And this one might be considerably more interesting than the lone tree at Llyn just across in the other valley. And I've just spent a little bit of time here just trying to compose it and just enjoying being in front of something that I've never seen before. This is the sort of stuff that really lights me up when it comes to photography. It's just that thing that gets me so excited and so enthusiastic. And I think because I've never seen this before, I'm not influenced by other compositions. I'm not just trying to place my tripod in the tripod holes of other photographers that have been here before me. And that's a fun challenge. That's where I get real satisfaction in photography. So all I'm doing here is I'm shooting this on the 14-28 Panasonic Lumix lens because I'm quite close to the tree. There's this really nice boulder with some algae lichen sort of growing on it. It's got some great texture, especially when the light starts to hit it. And then this spindly tree with just a great form, great structure. And the backdrop of the tree is basically the end of the lake, but there's kind of like a V shape in the valley. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to place the tree in between the V of the valley to make sure that the branches and the form of the tree are in the negative space of the sky. I think that's so important in making the composition feel very balanced and very clean. So I've been experimenting with some different aspect ratios. I've shot it as a square crop. I've shot it at 4:3, just to get a feel for how it changes the balance of the shot. And I'll decide which one I like best in post. But yeah, what a great find. A location, a subject that is just unique an original that I've never seen a photo of before. And that's enough to satisfy me. Well, it wasn't the easiest tree to get to because the ground around here is pretty boggy. And if you are a regular visitor to Originality National Park, you might be looking at that tree and you might be saying to yourself, Chris, that's definitely not an original composition, an original photo. I've seen photos of that tree before. And you know what? You're probably right. I don't think I am breaking new ground here, but I have found something that is new to me, at least. And that's the thing that keeps me going. And I think that's something that we should all be mindful of. Although honeypot locations are great playgrounds for learning photography, and I think if you are a beginner photographer, if you're just starting out on your journey, I think honeypot locations can teach us so much about composition, about photography, gives you opportunity to experiment with your camera, gives you the opportunity to take good enough photos that you can then practice editing. I think all of that is great. But there does come a time where we just want to challenge ourselves a bit more. And I think that's where uniqueness and originality comes in. Right, I need to try and get back to this path without sinking and disappearing into this bog. So I will catch up with you in a moment. Now, another way to think about originality and uniqueness when it comes to image making is thinking about originality of thought, uniqueness of thought, as opposed to thinking about a unique subject or location. You could visit a really, really popular, well-photographed location, or a location that you've been to numerous times, but just thinking about that location in a more creative way can definitely transform that scene into something very unique and very original. And something that I like to lean on quite often is ICM photography, intentional camera movement, where you intentionally move the camera during the exposure to create a really abstract effect. It's something that I've become increasingly interested in. I did art way back in high school, and I'm really interested by abstract impressionism. I go to galleries as often as I can because I find so much inspiration in artwork. And what I like to do is just find opportunities to, I guess, find subjects where movement is a natural part of that scene. And this babbling brook that we have here is a perfect example. There's this cascade which is kind of moving through this little patch of the river. It's creating some amazing texture. The colours of the rocks are really nice. There's some lovely warm tones. And then we've got these lovely grasses that have such great flow and such great form. And all you're going to do is compose the scene as you normally would. Composition is still important in this technique. And if you're not really sure where to start in terms of the movement, then just try and mirror the movement that is naturally occurring in the scene. So this shape of water has a flow to it, the shape of the grasses has a flow to it, and I'm just going to mimic that with the camera. So I'm shooting this at an eighth of a second, f8. You can go all the way down to 1 second, I suppose, and still retain some texture in the photo. It all depends on what you're photographing. But I lean on this quite frequently because I always look back at my ICM images and I just feel that uniqueness. I feel that originality. They stand out amongst the other photos that I take. And I think because of that, I'm becoming increasingly more interested in exploring it as a technique in photography. So experiment with uniqueness of thought and uniqueness of idea, and explore these more abstract ways of shooting, because they'll definitely create images that feel very original to you. I think one of the reasons that I'm so drawn to ICM and why I continue to love the ICM images that I've taken is because they are just singularities. They can never be replicated. Because of the nature of the movement, no two exposures are ever going to be the same. And that is the epitome of uniqueness and originality, I think. And that's just what I feel every time I look at those photos. You know, it's just the fact that they can never be replicated. And that's quite a special thing in photography, I think. So although the abstract nature of them might not be for everybody, I think some people enjoy more literal photos, myself included. You know, I love pointing my camera at absolutely anything that's beautiful. But sometimes when conditions are tricky, or things aren't quite how we would like them to be, it's nice to have these things in your toolkit that you can kind of grab at any time and know that it gives you opportunities to create photos that you're going to be really happy with. So I think it's time to probably head to another location now. Might as well make the most of being in Originality National Park, since I don't get to spend an awful lot of time here. And I was just sitting on a bench back there, enjoying the light. Got chased by some sheep that had gone a bit wayward. There was a shepherd and a sheepdog that was wrangling them, so that was quite interesting. And then I was sat talking to this elderly gentleman who came to join me on the bench. He was just taking a breather from his walk, and he was also quite interested in photography, and we were just chatting about photos. And he mentioned just how much he enjoys just being out with the camera. And it does kind of put this topic that I'm talking about today into perspective, because really being outside, just having the camera in your hand and just enjoying the location wherever you are, is the most important thing. But I guess what I'm talking about today, this idea of finding unique and more original photos, is the additional layer beyond that. And I think an important perspective to share is something that we'll come on to next, but I need to figure out a plan and find somewhere else to go explore. Hope you're enjoying the video, guys. If you are, do consider giving it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. It would really help me out. Well, I'm back in the car. It's 12:30. I think it's time for some lunch, and I'm going to see if I can also find some good coffee. I know there is good coffee in Originality National Park, so yeah, let's go find some, and I'll give you some recommendations, and then we will carry on this little photo adventure and just make the best of the amazing light that we're having today. As I mentioned in last week's video, winter light is just the best, and we are being treated to a lot of it today. So plenty more photography to be done. This is going to be probably a very, very long video. So, Cafe Melon in Llanberis, highly recommended, very nice coffee. I am now suitably refueled, and we need to come up with a plan for the rest of the day, because the light is getting really nice now. We're getting closer to golden hour, and with all the mountains around here, the light's going to disappear much quicker than it normally would. So, we need to get on the road. So I was driving down the Llanberis Pass to Llanberis, and I actually noticed a little bit of autumn colour. It was just along the river that runs down the pass from Norwyddfa, from the car park at the top, all the way down the valley. And I need to head back that way anyway, so I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to see if I can actually get a photo that is slightly autumnal. And we'll wrap up this video and just share some final thoughts around the topic that we've been discussing today. So I am now driving out of Llanberis, back towards the Llanberis Pass. Hopefully there'll be a bit of light, but if not, there should be some autumn colour. So, fingers crossed. Well, I'm really glad that we stopped here in the Llanberis Pass, because you've got such a dramatic landscape here with the imposing mountains and the steep valley with this river running through it, and it's given us opportunity to experiment with all the different techniques that we've discussed today. And if you are looking to do more traditional landscape photography, if ICM isn't your thing and you're just trying to stick to a more traditional medium, I think a perspective that's really important to keep in mind is that even in the landscape, even in the natural world, just by nature of the natural world being a very transient place to be, you know, the light changes, conditions change, the weather changes, all of that is going to create subtly unique images. Unless you put your tripod in the exact same location as another photographer using the exact same focal length, the exact same shutter speed, then there are going to be subtle differences from photo to photo. So it's important to remember that and not get too hung up on it. I think the most important thing is just enjoying being out, and originality, creativity, they all come as a byproduct of just being in the outdoors, enjoying what you're doing and wanting to just do more of it. You know, the more you shoot, the more experience you gain, the more photos you end up taking, and the more that you end up getting influenced by, you know, your own history as a photographer. So just keep doing what you're doing and maybe have a go at incorporating some of the things that we've talked about today. Hopefully that will at least give you a fresh perspective and some more things to try out when out in the field. So thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this, what will probably be a very long video, but I hope you've enjoyed the scenery. I hope you've enjoyed the photos. Let me know down in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you would like to come along for the next one and get notified when new videos go live. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.